Hi, I'm Doug Farley, and I'm the director at the Cobblestone Museum. And today we're working on another episode of History at Home. And today we're fortunate to have with us Mr. Al Capurso. Al is a board member with the Cobblestone Museum, and he's in his home, and I'm at the museum. But today Al is going to talk about his Victrola, which he has in his living room and has enjoyed for a good long time. So, Al, tell us more about that.
Okay, I'd be happy to. This is a 1915 Victrola. They used to call them Victor Victrolas, and you probably recognize the logo with the dog listening to his master's voice. That dog's name is Nipper, by the way, and he's quite famous in Victrola folklore. You'll see different versions of Nipper on various things that this Victrola put out. This is actually a reproduction down here. This label is a reproduction of a tag that would have hung from a new Victrola in the showcase in the store back in the day. So I was happy to find that. Victrolas were started, I believe 1909 is the first tabletop. The original Victrolas had the exterior horn on the outside of the music box. This particular model was an innovation in that the horn is actually inside the cabinet. And it starts with a vibrating diaphragm when the needle is put down and the turntable is turning, and the sound gets picked up and amplified and projected down here through the horn. So these doors, as I'll show you in a little while, actually are a way of regulating the volume of the Victrola. So
we're ready for a demonstration.
To wind it up, there's a spring inside. And mind you, this is 1915 technology. Okay, right now the brake is on the turntable. I take the brake off, and the turntable starts. Then I bring the needle down, and you may recognize this song. It actually has a nice mellow sound, just like that. But if you wanted it even louder, you open the door. Now that kind of volume is achieved without electronics. Okay, it's all analog, or even before analog.
Moving air.
And the spring mechanism and the gears inside, again, are 105 years old and still humming along.
It's wonderful, Al.
I can even adjust the speed. I can make it faster. I can slow it right down.
Very nice.
It was the Victrola company spun off into a lot of other companies, and they didn't neglect children. They had songs that were particularly appealing to kids, And I have one here I thought I'd play. You may recognize this song as well.
Okay, we've got a minute or two here, so we'll finish up with that, okay?
Okay? Now, the quality of that record wasn't as good as the first record because this actually is probably a cheaper version of plastic, and the kids probably played it to death. I have a collection of 78s. They come in volumes like this, so they keep them safe but accessible. And they span everyone from everybody from Frank Sinatra to Perry Como, a lot of the old time singers, a lot of Guy Lombardo, and I have my Christmas collections actually inside the cabinet underneath.
I remember growing up that they used to call those records 78s. Do they?
Yes, 78.
78 revolutions per minute.
78 revolutions per minute.
Right.
And they did hang in there for quite a while. On the back of this record, the 12 Days of Christmas, this company Golden, which was very famous at the time, they were actually putting out 45 RPMs and 33 1/3 RPMs at the same time they put out their 78.
Right.
So there was of these types of records that were available. So 78s did enjoy quite a long history. Victrola company sold 15,000 of these Victrolas in their first year of business. They priced them quite high, $250, thinking that it would be mostly the well-to-do families that would buy them, but they were finding out that people were really making huge sacrifices to buy up these Victrolas. This one here actually is the tabletop model that was a little cheaper. It sold for $125. The full cabinet models sold for $250.
Yeah, when you think of the technology in that period, it really was revolutionary that people could hear the recorded voice or the recorded music.
Yes.
That had never happened before up until, like you say, the early 1900s.
Before this, you had to have a musician in your family in order to hear music.
Right.
Then came along these Victrolas, and then as radio came on, they actually went down in the number of sales of Victrolas. So radio tended to take over, but there was still some market for these. Then electricity came in, and a lot of Victrolas were made electrical, so you didn't have to wind them, and you could also take them different places. They were portable. This one really isn't much of a portable unit.
It's a beautiful piece of furniture for you.
Just as a matter of maintenance, I let the turntable go and let it wind down so that the spring doesn't have constant tension on it. And I believe that's one of the keys to the longevity of this machine, that always in maxed position. Every now and then I'll take it apart and grease it, oil it, put it back together again. It's fairly simple maintenance.
Well, very good, Al. Thank you very much. Is there anything you'd like to tell us about your Victrola, or are we?
Well, we've had 1973. This came out of the Mount Albion Cemetery barn. It belonged to the Standish family, and they were long gone. And so the cemetery caretaker gave it to me, and it's been a cherished item ever since.
Yep, that looks like it is. Looks like you're doing a good job of keeping it up. So thank you for this episode of History at Home, and I hope you have a good day, and you can go back to listening to some more music.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.